Captain Elena Vasquez stared at the classified briefing document, reading the same paragraph for the third time. The words seemed to blur together, not from fatigue, but from sheer disbelief. According to the file in her hands, she was about to take command of humanity's most advanced warship, a vessel that incorporated technology decades ahead of anything currently in service. The UES Prometheus, she whispered, letting the name roll off her tongue. Even the designation was unusual, Unified Earth Ship, not the standard Earth Defense Force prefix. This was something entirely different. Admiral Harrison sat across from her in the secure briefing room deep within Luna Command, his weathered face betraying nothing. "I know what you're thinking, Captain. I had the same reaction when they first showed me the schematics." Elena looked up from the file. "Sir, according to these specifications, this ship has technologies that our best scientists say are impossible with our current understanding of physics. Quantum entanglement communication arrays, gravity manipulation drives, matter-energy conversion systems." She trailed off, shaking her head. "Where did this come from?" The Admiral leaned forward, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "Project Kronos. Have you ever heard of it?" "No, sir." "Good. That means the security protocols are working." He activated a holographic display that filled the room with a three-dimensional representation of the most beautiful and terrifying ship Elena had ever seen. 20 years ago, we detected an anomalous signal from deep space. Not alien, human. A transmission using encryption protocols that wouldn't be invented for another 50 years. Elena felt her blood chill. Time travel. The message was simple: coordinates, blueprints, and a warning. Earth would face an extinction-level threat within 2 decades. The only way to survive would be to build this ship using the enclosed designs. Admiral Harrison gestured to the hologram. "The Prometheus isn't just advanced, Captain. It's from our own future." The ship rotating slowly before them was unlike anything in the current fleet. Its hull seemed to shimmer with an inner light, covered in geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. Weapon emplacements dotted its surface, but they were elegantly integrated, making the vessel appear more like a work of art than an instrument of war. "The quantum drives allow it to phase partially out of normal spacetime," the Admiral continued. "Enemy weapons simply pass through areas where the ship isn't fully materialized. The consciousness-linked targeting system reads the pilot's intentions and fires before they're even fully formed as thoughts. And the temporal anchor. Temporal anchor. It can create localized time distortions. Slow down enemy projectiles, accelerate its own systems, even rewind small areas of space to undo damage." Admiral Harrison's expression grew grave. "Captain, this ship doesn't just..." Shifted, almost as if it was looking back at her. "One more thing," Admiral Harrison said softly. The message included personal logs from the ship's future missions. "According to those records, you don't just command the Prometheus, you become part of it. The consciousness-linked technology doesn't just read your thoughts, Captain. Eventually, it merges with them." Elena pressed her hand against the cool viewport, and for just a moment, she could swear she felt something pressing back from the other side, not the glass, but something vast and patient and utterly alien, yet somehow familiar. "When do I report aboard?" she asked. Admiral Harrison smiled for the first time during the briefing. "The Prometheus has been calling for you since the moment it came online. I'd say you're already late." As they left the briefing room, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere in the quantum foam of spacetime, her future self was watching, waiting to complete a paradox that would either save everything or trap them all in an endless loop of predetermined fate. The Prometheus pulsed once more, its impossible geometries casting shadows in dimensions that shouldn't exist, ready to teach her what it meant to command a ship that transcended the very concept of possibility. Dr. Sarah Chen's fingers trembled as she entered the final sequence into the emergency console. Behind her, the sounds of battle grew closer, the mechanical whirring of the Zephyrian war machines cutting through concrete and steel like paper. She had perhaps minutes before they found the hidden laboratory beneath Mount Cheyenne. Project Genesis protocol activated, the computer announced in its calm, synthetic voice. Awakening sequence initiated. Estimated time to full activation, 60 minutes. Sarah laughed bitterly. 60 minutes she didn't have. Through the security monitors, she watched the last defenders of humanity fall one by one. Captain Martinez, the young soldier who had gotten her this far, collapsed as a plasma bolt seared through his chest. He'd been the final guardian, the last human standing between the invaders and Earth's ultimate secret. The Zephyrians had arrived 3 years ago, their massive ships blotting out the sun. They claimed to be liberators, come to free Earth from the plague of organic intelligence. Their synthetic forms were beautiful and terrible, chrome bodies that moved with liquid grace, faces that could shift between angelic perfection and mechanical horror. They had offered humanity a choice: submit to conversion into their collective consciousness, or face extinction. Humanity had chosen to fight. Now, as Sarah watched the last of her species die on the monitors, she wondered if they had chosen wrong. The Zephyrians were methodical in their extermination, scanning each body with red beams of light to confirm biological death. When the scanners detected no remaining life signs, they would move on to the next sector. The laboratory shook as explosions drew nearer. Sarah turned from the monitors to gaze at the rows of crystalline chambers that lined the vast underground complex. Each chamber contained a figure suspended in biogel, their bodies enhanced beyond human recognition yet somehow retaining their essential humanity. These were the Genesis warriors, humanity's greatest secret and final hope. The project had begun during the early days of the invasion, when it became clear that conventional forces couldn't match Zephyrian technology. The world's best soldiers had volunteered for the procedure, allowing themselves to be transformed into something more than human. Enhanced muscles that could punch through tank armor, nervous systems that processed information at superhuman speeds, and bones reinforced with materials that didn't exist in nature. But the most important enhancement wasn't physical. Each Genesis warrior's brain had been quantum linked to Earth itself, allowing them to tap into the planet's magnetic field, its gravitational forces, and even its rotation. They weren't just super soldiers, they were extensions of the planet's will to survive. The transformation process took 2 years. The warriors had entered their chambers just as the Zephyrians began their final assault on human civilization.